Taiwan is bursting with heaps of fun places to explore. Join me, Amber Hatfield, as I hit up travel hotspots, soak up some culture, and hunt down hidden gems. Let's go! Welcome back to Let's Go. On today's episode, I am joined again by Eloise. If you didn't catch our episode last week, you can head on back to last week's episode of Let's Go to see the first part of mine and Eloise's chat about Taitung, where she shares some of the fun spots that you can hit up in Taitung when traveling. Today's episode, we're going to focus a little bit more on some of Eloise's experiences visiting the tribes and indigenous people in Taitung. Let's get into it. Eloise is doing her master's degree in Austronesian studies, so I decided to ask her first about whether she had had much interaction with the different tribes in Taitung and whether or not she's been able to go to any of their festivals or events.
Yeah, I've been really lucky, especially studying what I studied through the university. We have more connections, so we get to attend a lot of the festivals and things. So I've been to the Harvest Festival, the Amis people in that one was in Changbin. You kind of you have to be invited to these things. So yeah, luckily a friend of a friend, and he invited me, and I could only stay one day, unfortunately, for that. And this was the day that the men were dancing, so I didn't get to join in because they have a specific day for men to do the dancing, then the next day is the women, and then I think the last day is all of them together. So yeah, if I'd been able to stay, I would have been able to wear the clothes and join in. But yeah, it was still good to witness, and I was sitting with all the aunties on the outside and chatting with them, and it's insane how long they dance for. Literally 8 hours straight. They can't sit down. The elder people are allowed to, but the young ones, they just have to keep going. They're being fed alcohol, and that was a really cool experience, just to get a little insight into one of them, the most major festival for them. Also, the 5-year festival for the Paiwan people. It's very special because it's only every 5 years, right? And I was lucky enough, it was last year. So I went to Tuban, which is in Darren Township. So it's south of Taitung City. It was, again, I didn't really understand everything that was going on, but, they had different rituals and ceremonies, and you go from, this person's house to another, you pray to the ancestors. And then the really, really cool part was they have this game where they use these huge bamboo sticks, and it's this huge structure, massive, and they all sit around in this circle, and each household has one of these huge sticks towering up into the sky, and it's pointed on the end, and they throw up this kind of woven ball, and they have to use these sticks to try and stab it and get it, and then each time somebody gets it, then they swap person from their family, and then it has to be done, I can't remember, is it 10 or 20 times, something like this. So they're going for quite a long time because it's actually really difficult to spear it. So we were just watching this for ages, and then suddenly they all just dropped their sticks, and it was this huge race that they had to race up, break their stick down into many parts, and then race up the hill, and it was just suddenly chaos out of nowhere. Yeah, it was so cool. And then so that's more of the the structured part of the game, and then they play the same thing in the streets later, but it's more like a free-for-all, it's not as each time somebody spears the ball, they then move a little bit more down the street to the next kind of family's household. So because the Paiwan group, they're traditionally an aristocratic society, so they differentiate between the classes, and so the family name and the family crest and everything is still very important. And I think this Tuban itself is very well protected from outside influences. I think it's one of the most researched tribes within the Paiwan culture. So yeah, there were quite a few researchers and people that day as well.
Interesting.
That's the two main festivals that I've been to And then there's still some going on because each different village has at different times. They don't all follow like the same calendar. So I know that there's still more 5-year festivals that are coming over Chinese New Year as well. So I'm hoping that my friends said she might be able to get me to one in Pingdong. And then there's the music festival, Basawali. Have you heard?
I've not heard of that. Tell me more.
Oh, this is so cool. It's every year. It's in its... last year was the 5th year that it had been running. And it is getting more and more popular, because I've only been twice. And I just remember there being quite a difference between the amount of people that came between the 2 years. So, but it's incredible because it's free, and it's actually in the park that I live right next to, so the Taitung Forest Park, which is also beautiful even when there's no festival. You can just cycle around. It's a really nice place to relax. But they've been holding quite a few festivals there, so it's normally in November time. So in the afternoon there'll be all stalls and smaller kind of performances, and they basically have people from the wider Austronesian world that come to gather in Taiwan. This year they had Maori people. They came to perform. They did the haka and other performances. They've had bands from Indonesia, Philippines, and all different kinds of styles of music. Like the Indonesian one was heavy rock, and then they have ones from Taiwan as well, and famous groups. They've had Mazka perform there as well. It's such a celebration of Austronesian culture. So if you want to learn more about it, that's definitely the place and the time to go to Taitung.
Next, I asked Eloise about different variations of food that's unique to Taitung and to some of the indigenous cultures and tribes.
There's a lot more indigenous food available in Taitung than other places. So, we have abai, which is a bit like the zongzi,
like a rice triangle?
Yeah.
Rice dumpling?
A little bit like this, but, they're not triangle. And so they have the meat inside, and then they sometimes use the millet as well, like glutinous kind of millet, wrapped in the vine leaves. So that's a very common indigenous dish. We have a lot of slow food festivals and things like this in Taitung as well. And so I volunteered at my friend's stall selling this abai last time, and also the sausage, the indigenous sausage, and I think betel nut leaf.
Okay.
Is also... So actually my professor, his main research is into betel nut, and so I think it has this kind of negative reputation, or has had in the past, and his research is trying to basically counter that, because it's not actually as detrimental to health as you think. It's actually some of the other things that they add to the betel nut, which maybe puts you more at risk for oral cancer and things like this. But the health benefits of the leaf in particular, I was astounded, because it was used traditionally in Chinese medicine and things like this. So I've tried some dishes recently that have been developed with this leaf. My professor also has a cookbook, and there's restaurants, which I haven't been to it, but my friend said every single dish uses this lao ye.
Interesting.
Yeah, but most recently I tried a bagel with the betel nut leaf in, and that was delicious.
Wow.
And I've had coffee with it in. I liked it. My friend thought it tasted too much like grass. It does have that kind of grassy natural flavour, but so I'd say that's kind of a special thing from Taitung, which I haven't really seen.
Next, I asked Eloise to give some of her recommendations for where people should go if they visit Taitung.
I've been thinking about this recently, because actually I think my family are going to try and come out and visit. So I was thinking, where can I take them? I would say hot springs are a must. I would say Chishang. Chishang is all of the rice fields. Beautiful place. You can take the train there, and then you can hire a bike, and you can just cycle around. Unfortunately, when I went there, it was raining heavily. But it's also a different kind of feeling. And also you have to eat the Chishang rice. It's very famous because it's got a special grade of rice, and and I think the Chishang bento box is quite famous as well. Then I would say Oh goodness, I haven't talked about Green Island and Orchid Island. How could I forget? You have to take the boat out, or you can fly to both islands. If you stuck for time, then I would say Orchid Island. Like Green Island, it's so lush, it's so green. Well, yeah, hence the name. And it's smaller, so you can do that like in a day. We actually took our bikes on the boat and then cycled around. You can also take your scooter on the boat as well, and it's like, I don't know, 100 or something, 150 to take your scooter. Yeah, it's great. And camp there, you can, yeah, there's hostels, whatever. Green Island's a bit more touristy, I would say, but Orchid Island is very, very special because it's the Tao people, indigenous people live there. I would say you'd want to spend a few days there. Again, when I camped there, it was it was raining, so missed out on quite a few things. But you must see the boats. They're beautiful and very sacred, so you're not allowed to touch them and definitely not get in them. So yeah, there's quite a few taboos that you might want to pay attention to while you're there. For example, like the flying fish. Oh, the flying fish, that's another dish that's okay. Like the flying fish egg and yeah, the flying fish itself. You can definitely try on Orchid Island, but you'll find them like hanging up, like drying in certain places, and you can't touch them or photograph them. Yeah, it's also like a sacred thing. But yeah, you can just drive around the island and just stop at all the scenic points. There's like rocks and caves all in like different shapes and things. Yeah. I definitely want to go back there because I don't feel like I saw everything. But I would say be careful with the boat because, oh my goodness, everybody was throwing up. You really want to be mindful of the weather, and yeah, it's just horrible because even if you don't get seasick normally, I think just the sound and smell of everyone else throwing up just made me that. Yeah, so that part of the experience wasn't the best. But you can fly, it's just a bit more expensive. So yeah, it's just something to consider.
Thank you so much for coming on my show. I feel like I've learned things that I didn't know before, and I've been to Taitung quite a few times, so I really appreciate it.
Good, no, thank you for having me.
That's all for today's episode of Let's Go. Don't forget to tune in next week for more chats about travel in Taiwan.